This video that you're watching right now is the 101st video that I've uploaded to YouTube so far this year. Now, uploading this much content in 1 year has really pushed the limits of what I'm capable of, and it's forced me to grow in so many new and unexpected ways. I've definitely stumbled, I've learned a lot, and I've grown in countless ways that I never would have expected. So whether you're a creator like myself, someone who feels stuck in this creative process, or even just someone who isn't doing YouTube but wants to hear about the insights from a creator and what this experience is like, then stick until the very end, because I'm going to share all of my best tips and distilled wisdom from creating and uploading and publishing over 100 videos so far this year on YouTube. So I hope that this is an interesting story for all of you viewers, but at the same time, if you do have your own channel, my hope is that some of these insights can save you some of the time, doubt, and frustration that I dealt with. So with that said, if you've been wondering how to stick with it, how to grow your channel, and how to enjoy this process, then this video is for you. And now let's get started. So my goal was to get to 100 published videos on YouTube this year. And with this video, if you're watching this, it means it's been published and I've made it to that goal. Now, why 100? Well, I started publishing in the summer of this year, in 2024. And when I looked at the calendar, for whatever reason, 100 was just like the number that came into my mind as being one that was reasonable, but also one that would push me to my limits to really produce as much content as possible from essentially summer, I think I started in July, up until now. So it's a lot. I don't think I would necessarily recommend it. But what it forced me to do is it forced me to upload every single weekday from, I think I started in July up until now. So I haven't missed a weekday. I've published consistently every single weekday, and it's been an amazing, although very exhausting process. And this brings me to my first main point when it comes to creating content and creating YouTube videos, and that is consistency. Consistency is so incredibly important. Like, you have to show up. Even though you might not know everything that you have to do, it forces you to learn. So this idea that I've had of creating one video every single weekday, again, there's so much that I didn't know at the beginning. There's so much that I still don't know now. But showing up in this consistent manner where like not publishing wasn't an option has really forced me to learn. And I've also had to find the right balance between creating really amazing content, or to the best of my ability, but at the same time not going for something that's absolutely perfect. Because when you're producing content consistently like this, perfection's impossible. I mean, I don't even know what perfection would be, but you're just looking to put out like the best possible content you have within those restraints. So for example, when I first started, I didn't really know much about editing or lighting or all of the various concepts that really are necessary to create a decent YouTube video. But by showing up regularly and forcing myself to do one video every single weekday, then every single video that I've done has been amazing practice. And every sort of mistake that I've made is really good feedback. And again, I talked about in other videos how mistakes, they're just part of the process. It's not something to be ashamed of or worried about. It's just a necessary stepping stone to getting to the place that you want. So again, this consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about growing. And over time, your skills begin to compound and grow. And suddenly what once felt really hard now feels like second nature. So with my editing, I remember when I started, I didn't really know how to do edits at all. I don't even have Final Cut Pro. I'm essentially doing everything in iMovie, which is a really basic version of an editing tool, but I've found that it has everything that I need at this point. So what used to take, I think the first video I edited, it probably took me a few hours, I can't remember. But now I'm pretty quick. I mean, I know my way around the system and I can get my edits in pretty quickly. And the end result looks pretty good. Like, I'm really proud of what I've accomplished and what I've learned. But the thing is, that's just part of the process. Like, you keep applying yourself, you keep showing up, and little by little, your skills incrementally start to go up and up. Because one of the biggest things that I see is people who want to be content creators, or people who want to create content in some way, whether that's art or it's writing or it's videos. I think like most people, there are two big stumbling blocks that I've seen time and time again. One is a lot of people have sort of fears and issues with putting themselves out there and being judged. And I totally get that because I went through that myself. But the second thing I see, the second largest hurdle, is that people just don't produce content consistently. So they'll maybe publish 1 or 2 videos, they don't get a lot of views, a lot of traction, and then they sort of feel like, oh, well, it's not working. Well, you do really have to put yourself out there and commit to a consistent schedule. So my advice for those of you who are interested in content creation or YouTube is just, get started. It's not going to be perfect, but commit to a regular schedule for at least a few months or a certain number of videos you want to get to. And that's going to force you to learn what you need to learn. And it's also going to start getting you out there and getting you, some traction with the algorithm. So the next point I want to share, and this is really good for those of you who are doing content creation or YouTube, and that is that your first videos that you put out, your first pieces of content, they're going to be your worst. They're just not going to be that great. And that's okay. And that's fine. Just embrace the process. To be totally, brutally honest, your first few videos, your first few pieces of content are sort of gonna suck. Like there's just no way around it. When I look back at the early videos that I did with my channel, the thumbnails, the videos, a lot of it is pretty cringy. But at the same time, I'm proud of it because I had to pass through those stages, those beginner stages, to learn more about editing, about videos, videography, about thumbnails, about the hooks and titles, everything. So it's just part of the process, and no one's going to judge you for that. And in fact, any creator who's out there knows very well what it feels like to pass through that stage. So just embrace it and just know that that's part of the journey. And the reality is, although it's easy for us to get in our heads about these things, especially if you have like perfectionist tendencies, the reality is, especially at the beginning, people aren't really watching anyway. And that's your time to experiment. That's your time to try out, different ways of filming, try out different lighting styles, try out different backgrounds, different locations to film, different topics, different, everything. Don't overthink your first few videos. Just, do your best, upload them, learn from them, and then move on to the next, because your audience will have a lot of patience and they'll be cheering you on. And so essentially my lesson is give yourself some permission to be bad at first, because those sort of cringy videos are a really necessary step to getting to those next levels. Another piece of advice that I have is your mindset is so incredibly important here. This really ties into what I was saying earlier about the importance of being consistent. I made a commitment to myself that I was going to publish these 100 videos by the end of the year, and I'm really proud that with this video, I've made it. But obviously there were days when I just did not feel like recording, days when you have ups and downs. Sometimes you feel like things are going really well, a video sort of, really spiked and a lot of people loved it, great comments. And then sometimes you log in and you've got some nasty comments from somebody, or maybe something's going on in your personal life and you just don't feel like sitting down and forcing yourself to be positive and uplifting in front of a camera. I totally get it. So you really have to go into this with a long-term mindset that you're gonna be consistent and you're gonna make it happen. And this can be really tough for a lot of people because you have to show up when it's hard. You have to show up when things in your regular life aren't going your way. You have to show up when you're maybe not making the money that you want, if any, from your YouTube channel or your content creation. So I think this is one of the most difficult things because it's like running a marathon. It's this long-term thing, and you have to remind yourself when you go through these difficult periods of like why you're doing it. So one thing that I've done, and this has really helped, is remind myself of the big picture. Like my channel is all about helping people with practical issues in their life and spiritual issues, helping them to create a better version of their life for themselves and the people around them, helping them to become more empowered, more organized, more spiritual, help them on their path. So that's what keeps me going. And you've got to remind yourself in those difficult moments of like the big picture. Like, why are you doing this? Why did you publish your first video? What is the goal? Who do you want to help? And showing up on those really difficult days is what separates creators who succeed from those who end up quitting too early. And I'm in a few different groups, and I've seen this, like groups of content creators, and I've seen this lots of times where, people, they're really motivated and excited at the beginning. They maybe put a few videos out, and then it's radio silence for a few weeks. And again, if you really want to make this something full time, if you really want to help people, you've got to make that commitment to a long-term goal, and that you're going to show up consistently for your audience and for yourself. So another really good piece of advice I have, and this has been invaluable to me, is while you're going through this process, if you're someone who wants to start a YouTube channel, or you've just started one and it's small like mine and it's growing, I really recommend that you find a supportive community of people who are going through the same process. So I'm very blessed because I've found an amazing content creation community that I'm part of. And we have a community on school, like the school groups. And it's fantastic because not only can I ask questions of these other people and help them with their questions, sometimes something technical about lighting or about YouTube algorithms, but more than that, there's this feeling of camaraderie that we're all in this together. And that can make such a difference because this can be a very lonely journey. You're most likely at home by yourself talking into a camera, right? I mean, that's part of the process. That's the necessary part. But because of that, it can be a little bit lonely and a little isolating. And when you have good days, that's, no problem. But when you get like a nasty comment on a video, or you put so much time and energy and effort into one video and it's like flat, there are no views. I mean, that can really get to you. So connecting with like-minded creators really helps you because it's a great avenue to share your struggles, your wins, even your ideas. And you're also going to learn much faster. And you're going to learn from others' wins and their mistakes. So I know that school has a lot of great groups. Some you have to pay for, some not. Maybe even like Facebook communities or Discord. Like there's so many options now for like content creation communities that you could be a part of. And a final point is you want to surround yourself with positivity because this can be a difficult enough endeavor. So you want to be around positive people who get it, who are going to cheer you on. And when you're having a bad day, you can post something and their comments just like bring a smile to your face and make you feel better. Because one really cool thing about this is having that kind of a community not only helps you feel inspired and motivated, but it also keeps you accountable. And that can make a big difference when you're doing this long-term, trying to get videos out and working toward those long-term goals, because having that support system is just a huge, huge added benefit to you as a creator. So another thing that I've learned, and I'm still working really hard to implement this with my videos, is you want to focus on value, not just on clicks or views or those metrics. And that's really one question that now that I have a pretty solid understanding of the basics of creating videos, like thumbnail, I would say the biggest three is like the thumbnails, the titles, and the hooks at the beginning are the most important. And then beyond that, you just sort of need there's like a minimum threshold for what makes a decent video. Like you can see, I don't even have an editor right now, so I'm editing these myself. And the production quality is decent. Like I'm proud of what I've created, but again, it's an iMovie. It's not super fancy with graphics, and I don't even have B-roll. B-roll, for those of you who don't know, it's like the little movie clips and things that you can put to, as you're narrating, you can put those as the background. But, all that stuff's great, but you really have to focus on how can you provide more value to your audience? And so the first question is, who is your audience? Like, what is the message that you have and who is it for? And then once you figure that out, think about how can I just turbocharge the value that I'm giving away to these people for free? Because it's really easy to get caught up in chasing views and your subscriber count and all the metrics. But the views are really just a byproduct of creating amazing value. So instead of thinking like, how can I get more views? Look at it from like, how can I help these people, my viewers, my followers? Like what content like would speak to them? What content would help them with any pain points that they have in their life, any areas where they're having difficulties? And when you focus on that aspect of giving value, whether you inspire people, you teach, or you're just to have an entertainment channel, people will notice, because there's also an energetic component to this, where if you're coming at it from providing value, that's a much different energy than me coming on camera and like, you know, begging people, please subscribe, like I really need this. No, it needs to be about like providing energy and like help and assistance out to the viewers. So this is at many times like easier said than done. It's something I'm still working to incorporate with my videos. I'm constantly thinking like, okay, what does my audience want? Like what would be interesting to them? So if you're still watching at this point, thank you for your loyalty, and write in the comments like what sort of topics have you enjoyed me covering, and maybe what else would you like to see me cover in the future? So another point on this entire content creation journey, I mean, it can really be an emotional roller coaster, highs and lows and ups and downs, and you're learning so much. It gets very emotional at times. And one thing that I would recommend is really just learn to enjoy the wins, especially the small wins. Like there have been so many times when I went to check my email or checked like my YouTube metrics, and there's just like a comment from someone in some part of the world saying, oh, thank you, I loved your video. Like that's so incredible. So those little moments where just knowing that you helped someone in some part of the world in some way, like even in a small way, just is like such an incredible feeling. So I love reading comments. I love hearing from subscribers. I love like that, I guess like that energy and that interplay that we have where I'm doing the best I can to provide value. And then you hear like, oh, this really helped someone. They really loved this video. Like they shared it, they liked, you know, and they left a comment. Like that just makes you feel so good. So it can be really easy to get caught up in everything. You've got the technical stuff to worry about. You have like the views and, you know, what are you gonna do for the next video? But take a moment to just appreciate those wins, especially those small wins, like knowing that you help someone in some small way, knowing that, you know, you got a few new subscribers and they really appreciate and value your content. Or maybe someone leaves a comment saying, hey, I love how you covered this topic. Can you talk about this as well? So just celebrate those small moments, because they're signs that you are making a difference, even if it's one person at a time, and even if it's not going as quickly as you would like it to. So now to wrap all of this up, my 101st video published to YouTube, which is technically 100 long form videos. And I published one short just to see how it would, you know, do with the algorithm and all that. So that's why this is video 101. If I could go back to video number 1, which I think was that July or August of this year, here's what I tell myself. For all the things I just mentioned, those main points, and then in summary, I would say, number 1, it's gonna be messy. Like, you just have to put yourself out there, start making content. Don't worry about it being perfect. It's gonna be a little rough, a little messy at times, but just embrace it. Like, it's authentic and that's part of the process. The second thing I would say is stay consistent. You know, keep at it, set a personal goal, and hold yourself accountable. Like write down on a calendar or in some way track what you plan on doing, how you plan on getting content out, and stick to it, because that growth that you're going to have as a content creator really depends on you putting out a lot of products, because you have to get better at all the different elements of video and content creation. And the only way you're going to do that is by creating and putting out a lot of content. And then ultimately, you want to focus on the impact that you're having and not being perfect, because you never know who you might help. You never know when you're going to log in to your account and see that someone somewhere in the world really loved your content. They just left an amazing comment on one of your videos, and it just like makes you feel amazing that day. So focus on the impact that you can have with people and how you can provide value. Don't worry about being perfect. So if you're watching this and you're wondering as a content creator, is it worth it? I would say it absolutely is. This journey will change you in ways that you can't imagine. And I really recommend, if you're considering doing YouTube or content creation, just start it. Start putting yourself out there, commit to a consistent schedule, and then see what happens. Like, it's definitely a bit of a roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster at times, but I've grown so much personally, professionally, and spiritually from doing all of this. And one final note, for all of you who have been following me over these past few months since the summer, as I've grown this channel slowly but surely, I want to just say thank you so much. Your support means everything to me. It's so amazing when I log in and I see comments from you guys or hear from you in some way. So thank you so much to all of you who have been supporting me. If you're not already a subscriber and you like this kind of content, please do subscribe, leave a comment below. Let me know, what you think of this video, if you have anything else to add. And with that said, video 101, finally published. I did it. Thanks for your support. And I will see you in the next video.